Hey gang, it's Mr. Hill. We are going to be utilizing something kind of cool this week that I want to give you some instructions on. What we're using is a digital maze, and inside of this maze, you're going to be working on adding fractions. So for this maze, I'm going to give you some instructions on how to use some of the tools inside of this maze so that we know what we're doing as we dive into this assignment. So when you click on the link or on the assignment in Google Classroom, it's going to pull up an image that looks just like this. And as you can see, there's some tools up here that I'm going to point out for you that we're going to use to navigate this maze. So the first one I want to point out to you is this arrow looking thing here. When I click on the drop down, it gives me several different options. We want to utilize the arrow. So make sure that arrow is clicked. Make sure that this icon looks the same, and then make sure that you have it selected here. Now, when I've done that, what I will see so that I know that my arrow is working, and I had to go back and click on it again because I'm looking for this little crosshair icon for my mouse. Once I have that crosshair, that means that the arrow is the tool that we're using. So in the fraction maze, you're going to see that there is a starting point. Right here it says start. You're looking to get to the finish line. In the starting point has your first math sentence, which is 3/4 plus 1/4. When I feel like I know the answer to that, I'm going to choose where my arrow needs to go. So 3/4 plus 1/4 has the answer of either 2/4, 2/9, or 1. When I've decided which one of those is correct for me, that's the direction I want my arrow to go. So for me, I know that 3/4 plus 1/4 equals 4/4, and 4/4 equals 1. I know that my answer is going to go through this 1. So I will put my crosshairs on the math sentence. I'm going to push my mouse button. You'll see that a circle shows up, and this circle is showing me where do I want my arrow to point. Since I know that my answer is 1 and I'm wanting to go this direction on my maze, I get my circle going in that direction or over that answer, and then I'm going to let go. Now my arrow has been created. This arrow is kind of small and it's not that easy to see. So something that we can go up and do is use this line color. And if I click on the line color, I can make this a different color so it stands out more. I'm going to choose red. And then my line for my arrow is not that thick. So the next tool is line weight, which means how thick you want it to be. Let's use the 4px for this assignment. So use the 4px. If we go beyond 4px, it gets too big and it kind of blocks out too much of the maze. And if we go any smaller than that, it's kind of difficult to see. So let's go with the 4px, select that. And now your arrow is much more easier to see. So this would be my first arrow. I answered my first number sentence. I went the direction of my answer. And now from here, I need to follow the arrow on the maze, which brings me to my next number sentence, which is 3/9 plus 5/9. I need to answer that question. And then I need to go create my next arrow towards the answer I believe is correct. So once you figure out 3/9 plus 5/9, is that 8/9? Is that 2/3? Or is that 2/9? Once you figure that out, get your arrow created and go in that direction, and then continue on the maze using this. If at any point, let's say that you made an error, maybe you didn't get your arrow going in the direction you wanted to go. Easy fixes. There's this little tool right up here that has an arrow that's kind of jumping backwards and it says undo. You simply click on that and it'll undo your last step. So our last step was making our line, our arrow bigger. It just made our arrow smaller again. It took off the color now. And now my arrow's gone altogether. So I could start over. So if you ever make mistakes, utilize this undo feature. Once you're ready to go, make sure that in the drop-down you got the arrow selected. Make sure you're seeing the crosshairs. Right now, notice I'm not seeing the crosshairs. I am seeing crosshairs, but they've got these weird arrows on them. That's not what I'm looking for. So I'm going to go back and make sure, click on that arrow again. Boom, there's the crosshairs I'm looking for. And now I can go in the direction I want to go for the maze. Your goal, your mission in this maze is to answer all the questions correctly, that if you do so, will lead you down to the finish. Once you're done, you'll have a bunch of arrows taking you down to the finish. Go ahead and complete this assignment, turn it in, upload it into Google Classroom so that your teachers can have that. Have some fun with it. If you have any questions, reach out to your teachers. This is meant to really just kind of be a fun activity for you, so don't let it stress you out. Have some fun with it. Check out my video here to give you some instructions. And good luck solving the adding fractions maze. See you guys.